The universe is full of absences. Every star blinks with light, yet behind it stretches an ocean of darkness more profound than flame can touch. Every planet spins faithfully in its orbit, but many carry scars of companions now missing moons, that once hung in the sky, only to vanish as though swallowed by time itself. Moons are not mere ornaments to planets. They are sculptors of motion, keepers of tides, stabilizers of worlds. They whisper gravity's language, pulling oceans, shifting atmospheres, even steadying the tilt of planets so that climates may flourish. And yet, across the solar system, evidence suggests that countless moons have disappeared, lost children. Of the night sky, imagine standing in Earth's infancy. Above the newborn world, more than one companion may have risen. Some astronomers suspect smaller protomoons circled Earth after the great impact that birthed our own moon, only to collide, merge, or drift away into oblivion. Their light no longer shines, but the faint memory of their existence lingers in simulations, in gravitational puzzles, in theories waiting to be resolved. Elsewhere, the silence grows deeper. Mars, with its tiny companions, Phobos and Deimos, may once have held a larger moon. Saturn's dazzling rings could be the shattered remains of a destroyed satellite, ground to dust by tidal forces. Even Uranus, with its strange, tilted axis, bear the mark of moons torn away by an ancient cataclysm. These vanished satellites are ghosts, not of myth, but of mechanics. Gravity gives no mercy. Orbits can destabilize, resonances can unravel, and collisions can erase entire worlds in the blink of cosmic time. What remains are only hints, faint orbital resonances, tilted planets, and rings of ice where once a companion shone. The night sky seems eternal, yet even its most faithful dancers are not guaranteed forever. The heavens are a palimpsest, manuscript rewritten, where old lines are scraped away to make room for new ones. Moons come and moons go, their absences carved into silence. Somewhere between the stars and their planets, a mystery breathes. What happened to the missing companions of our solar system? And as the questions linger, history beckons toward the first time humanity noticed that something, somewhere, was no longer there. Asterisk, long before telescopes sharpened the heavens into detail, ancient eyes searched the sky for order. The Babylonians, meticulous in their records, charted the dance of planets and the rise of moons with the patience of generations. They saw the wanderers move, the stars hold steady, and the moon carve its silver path across the sky. To them, the heavens were not empty. Every light bore meaning. But even then, whispers of absence lingered. Some patterns did not match. Some gods seemed deprived of their proper companions. The mythology of lost celestial children may have been the first faint echo of a deeper truth that planets are not always complete. Centuries passed, and with them, the tools of vision changed. When Galileo lifted his crude telescope in 1610 and gazed at Jupiter, he saw what no human had truly seen before. 4 moons, dancing in perfect alignment around a giant. Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto, tiny worlds, each a moving point of light. Their discovery shook the Earth from its pedestal, proving that not all things orbited us, and that planets could be their own miniature systems. But revelation carried a shadow. If Jupiter held such companions, why did other planets seem strangely bare? Mars, for example, showed none. Mercury and Venus, close to the Sun, circled in solitude. Even Saturn, with its mysterious rings, revealed no moons at first. The question grew quietly in the background. Why would nature grant such companions to some planets and deny them to others? The 18th century brought mathematics to the heavens. Pierre-Simon Laplace, the French celestial mechanic, mapped the laws of orbital harmony with relentless precision. His equations suggested resonances, hidden rhythms within the solar system, where gravity bound moons and planets into intricate dances. But those same equations hinted at something darker. The orbits of moons were not eternal, gravitational. Tides could drain them, orbital resonances could destabilize them, collisions could erase them. Where observation saw stillness, Laplace glimpsed motion, and where motion endured, he saw the possibility of loss. In his numbers, the first clear voice of the vanished moons began to speak. Yet science is never linear. For every discovery, there was silence, waiting centuries to be filled. It was not until the late 19th century that Asaph Hall, peering through the United States Naval Observatory's Great Telescope, finally found Mars's Moonstiny Phobos and Deimos, little more than drifting rocks. But their very existence carried another mystery. They were too small, too irregular, too fragile to seem like natural children of Mars. Had there once been more, larger companions, now gone? The idea haunted astronomers even then, a whisper that Mars carried scars of a history we could not see. By the mid-20th century, as spacecraft prepared to touch other worlds, a new figure entered the story. Gerard Kuiper, often called the father of modern planetary science, Kuiper asked not only what was there, but what was missing. Why did Uranus tilt so strangely on its side, as though struck by a colossal hand? Why did Saturn's rings glow with impossible brightness, as if freshly ground from some shattered body? Why did Neptune's orbit suggest a restless past, tugged by forces unseen? Kuiper knew the answer might lie not in what was visible, but in what had been erased. Moons, once born in the swirling chaos of early planetary formation, might have been flung away, torn apart, or devoured by their masters. The deeper science probed, the more absences it found. Computer models of planetary formation revealed that moons are fragile things. Unlike planets, which carve stable paths around the sun, moons live in precarious balance. A small changer, gravitational tug, a passing object, a resonance with another moon could tip the scale toward destruction. Some were doomed from birth. Others survived for eons before vanishing in sudden violence. Every orbit carries not only the memory of survival, but the possibility of disappearance. But absence does not mean silence. The traces of lost moons reveal themselves in scars. Saturn's rings, spread like a luminous wound around the giant, may be the remnants of a once proud satellite torn to dust. The tilt of Uranus may be the fingerprint of a cataclysm that stole moons in its wake. Even Earth's moon carries stories of vanished sibling smaller protomoons that might have circled in the chaos of the giant impact, colliding or fading before history began. In these patterns, the vanished moons speak in the only language they can: evidence. The 20th century also gave us eyes beyond Earth. Voyager, Cassini, and countless robotic emissaries crossed the solar system, photographing moons and rings in exquisite detail. They found signs of restless pasts, moons split by fractures, rings too young to be eternal, small companions teetering toward destruction. Astronomers realized the truth. What we see now is only the survivors, the last generation of companions. Behind them lies a graveyard of vanished satellites, their stories written only in orbital puzzles and shattered fragments. And so, from the Babylonians to Galileo, from Laplace to Kuiper, From the great observatories to robotic explorers, the mystery grows. The universe does not merely create, it also erases. For every moon that shines, another may have fallen. For every companion we chart, another has slipped beyond memory. The journals of scientists, the numbers of mathematicians, the photographs of distant spacecraft, together they whisper of companions we can no longer see. The story of vanished moons is not confined to history. It is unfolding still in the silence between orbits. And in the next chapter, that silence begins to deepen into a mystery too vast to ignore. The silence between the planets is not empty. It is filled with forgotten stories, trails of dust, tilted orbits, fractured rings, and faint gravitational scars. In these subtle signatures, the fate of vanished moons is written, though in a language that is more mathematics than myth. To uncover their stories, scientists turn to the patient theater of simulation, computer models that replay billions of years in minutes, compressing cosmic history into patterns of motion. And within those swirling calculations, a truth emerges. Moons are fragile dancers, and their choreography is rarely eternal. Gravity, the great sculptor, does not promise stability. For every moon that survives to orbit in quiet harmony, countless others wobble into instability. A nudge from another satellite, a resonance with the planet's spin, a passing comet's small disruption can set catastrophe in motion. Moons can spiral inward, grazing atmospheres until they are torn apart. Others drift outward until captured no longer, flung into interplanetary exile. Some collide with their siblings in violence too swift for memory. To the naked eye, the heavens look still, but beneath that calm is a silent storm where moons are made and unmade. The most vivid evidence lies with Saturn, the ringed jewel of the solar system. Its rings shimmer like frozen light, but their existence may be a monument to destruction. Simulations suggest that one of Saturn's ancient moons wandered too close, pulled past the roche limit, the boundary where tidal forces overcome cohesion. Here, stone and ice are stretched like taffy, shredded into fragments. Instead of vanishing, the remains formed the great rings we marvel at today, a graveyard turned into beauty. But even those rings are temporary, destined to rain back into Saturn over tens of millions of years. The silence of a vanished moon lingers in every shimmering band. Other worlds tell quieter stories. Uranus leans on its side, its axis tipped, a full 98 degrees, as if the planet were struck and left to roll. Such a tilt likely came from a colossal impact, perhaps with a body the size of Earth. But collisions on that scale rarely end neatly. Moons orbiting Uranus at the time may have been scattered, devoured, or ejected entirely from the system. What we see today's current moons arranged in tenuous harmony may only be the survivors of that chaos. While countless siblings disappeared without a trace, Neptune too bears signs of theft. Its great moon Triton is unlike any other, a captured wanderer, pulled from the Kuiper belt and forced into retrograde orbit, circling backward against Neptune's spin. The capture of Triton would not have been peaceful. In simulations, its arrival destabilizes Neptune's original moons, sending them crashing into the planet or scattering into the void. The fact that only Triton remains dominant today suggests that Neptune once had a system of companions destroyed or exiled when this giant thief took hold of its prize. Here, the silence speaks loudly. Triton's survival is the evidence of others' demise. Closer to home, the mystery titans around Mars. Its tiny moons, Phobos and Deimos, look more like asteroids than natural satellites. One theory holds that Mars once had a larger moon, formed in the aftermath of a colossal impact. Over time, tidal forces may have shattered it, breaking it into smaller pieces that either fell back onto Mars or drifted into space. Phobos, doomed in its current orbit, is slowly spiraling inward and will one day meet the same fate, apart to form a ring, echoing Saturn's tragedy on a smaller scale. Thus, Mars may already be rehearsing the disappearance of yet another moon right before our eyes. Even Earth is not free of suspicion. Our moon's violent birth a result of a giant collision with a Mars-sized body may have left behind not one moon, but several. Simulations show that in the chaotic aftermath, smaller mini-moons could have coexisted in unstable orbits. Over centuries, these companions may have merged with the dominant moon or fallen back to Earth, leaving no witness behind. Our single glowing satellite may be the final victor of a sibling rivalry erased by time. But not all disappearances come from violence. Sometimes, moons are stolen. The sun itself can act as a thief, pulling satellites away from their parent planets. If a moon drifts too far from its host, the gravity of the star takes precedence, snaring the object into independent orbit. Some of the asteroids we see today, scattered between Mars and Jupiter, may once have been moons torn away in this fashion, stripped of their home and set adrift among countless others. In the silence of interplanetary space, they carry a ghostly reminder. Every asteroid may once have belonged to someone. Astronomers searching the outer solar system have begun to wonder if such disappearances continue even now. The Kuiper Belt, with its frozen debris and distant worlds, may hold moons that escaped long ago, disguised among icy rocks. Here, the boundary between planet and satellite blurs. A world once bound to another may now roam free, its origin story hidden beyond Neptune's orbit. The further we peer outward, the more we realize how many companions might have been lost to exile, hiding in the dark frontier. Yet the silence of vanished moons is not only in space, it echoes in equations, resonances. Those delicate ratios of orbital periods often betray the absence of missing bodies. Jupiter's moons fall into resonant locks, stabilizing one another. But elsewhere in the solar system, gaps appear. Resonances that should exist lie broken, as though an unseen player once kept the rhythm and then was removed. Planetary scientists study these absences the way archaeologists study ruins. Not what stands, but what is missing tells the story. The broader mystery is philosophical as much as scientific. Why does the universe create so many companions only to erase them? Why are moons born fragile, fated more often to destruction than to endurance? Perhaps it is simply the nature of cosmic evolution. Just as stars live and die, just as galaxies merge and dissolve, moons to pass through cycles of birth and loss. The silence between orbits is the silence of impermanence. For humanity, these questions strike at something deeper. Moons have shaped the destiny of planets. Without our moon, Earth's tilt would wander chaotically, destabilizing climate and perhaps making complex life impossible. Without Jupiter's many moons, its gravitational balance would shift, altering the stability of the giant itself. Moons are not accessories, they are architects of habitability. And when they vanish, entire worlds may change course. This realization carries weight. If moons vanish often, then planets across the galaxy may bear scars of companions lost. Exoplanets we detect today might once have had moons, gone before we could ever see them. In those unseen histories lies a question: how many habitable worlds have been shaped or destroyed by the disappearance of their satellites? The silence of vanished moons may echo not just in our solar system, but across the Milky Way, multiplying the mystery on cosmic scales. Still, scientists persist, listening to the silence, through simulations, through telescopes, through spacecraft mapping ring particles and orbital tilts. They piece together a story that is never whole. The evidence always points to absences, yet the details remain elusive. Was Saturn's ring moon destroyed 100 million years ago, or 1 billion? Did Earth once have 2 moons, or 10? Did Mars's ancient companion break apart, or was it stolen away? The answers remain just out of reach, hidden behind the silence that follows every disappearance. Yet silence itself is telling. In it lies the pattern of impermanence, the rhythm of erasure that shapes the cosmos. Every vanished moon is a reminder that nothing in the universe is permanent. Even the companions we take for granted today, our moon, Europa, Titan, Triton, are only temporary actors on a stage that will erase them in time. The universe is a patient editor, writing and rewriting, leaving behind only fragments of stories. And so the silence between the orbits becomes a kind of cosmic music, not a song of presence, but of absence, not of what is there, but of what is no longer. The missing moons speak in tilted axes, in fractured rings, in wandering asteroids, in equations that do not quite balance. It is a silence vast enough to echo through the whole of cosmic history. The vanished moons do not announce themselves, yet their absence shapes the solar system as surely as their presence once did. They linger as ghosts in the balance of orbits, in the shimmer of rings, in the tilt of planets turned askew. But the question remains: if silence reveals so much, what does it mean for us whose own world may be marked by companions long forgotten? The answer lies not in the heavens we see, but in the echoes of those that disappeared. The cosmos remembers, though not in words. It remembers in tilted axes, in broken rings, in scars carved into the surfaces of planets. Where moons once circled, there are traces left behind like footprints at the edge of an ocean tide, fading, but not entirely gone. The vanished satellites of the solar system are not lost to nothingness. They linger in echoes, silent but persistent. Saturn's shimmering rings, bright against the blackness, are perhaps the most eloquent memorial. Each particle of ice and stone is a fragment of something once whole, a moon that lived for eons before its undoing. Together they form a luminous requiem, orbiting endlessly in the place of what was destroyed. It is beauty born from absence, a cosmic elegy that reminds us creation and loss are never separate. Uranus, leaning on its side, tells a subtler story. Its improbable tilt whispers of catastrophe, a collision so immense it could have shattered any moons circling at the time. What we see today may be only fragments of that moment, survivors that found new orbits while others disappeared forever. The planet spins like a wounded giant, carrying the invisible memory of vanished companions. Even Mars, with its 2 frail moons, speaks of echoes. Phobos, doomed to spiral inward, will be torn apart in the far future, leaving a ring in its place. Deimos, drifting outward, will eventually slip away. The system itself is temporary, a fleeting arrangement in an ongoing cycle of disappearance. Mars's sky will change again, and one day, even its faint companions will only be a story written in dust. Earth, too, may carry unspoken memories. The moon we see each night is born from a colossal collision, but simulations suggest smaller. Moons may have briefly circled our world in its infancy. They may have collided, merged, or fallen back to Earth before the first oceans cooled. Our sky might once have been crowded, filled with glowing companions that vanished before any eye could witness them. We are children of a world already touched by absence, and yet the echoes of vanished moons are not only written in orbits and fragments, they live in human imagination. Ancient myths spoke of multiple moons, of celestial companions lost to angered gods or swallowed by darkness. Though shaped by story, these tales resonate with strange accuracy. Civilizations sensed that the sky was incomplete, that something was missing. Even in the earliest ages, humanity dreamed of absences it could not explain. Today, science carries that dream forward. Every simulation of orbital instability, every analysis of planetary scars, is a search for voices long silenced. Astronomers piece together stories from what remains, reconstructing companions erased by time. The moons may be gone, but their echoes guide us still, like faint ripples moving outward across the cosmic sea. And in these echoes lies a reflection of ourselves. For if entire worlds can vanish, what does that mean for a fragile species on a fragile planet? The universe offers no permanence. Stars die, galaxies merge, planets tilt and fall, moons appear and disappear without record. What we see tonight in the heavens is not eternal, but a fleeting arrangement in an ever-changing script. Perhaps that is the true gift of the vanished moons. A reminder that absence is as much a force as presence, that what is lost shapes what remains, that we are not standing in a finished universe, but within a story still being written, where characters are erased as quickly as they are born. The moons that disappeared without a trace continue to orbit in silence, not as bodies, but as questions. They remind us that the cosmos is not a museum, but a living, shifting expanse where nothing is promised forever. And if the sky itself can forget its children, then what might one day erase us? The heavens hold no monuments for the vanished. Only the quiet pull of their absence remains, shaping the worlds that endure. And as we look upward, we are left with the haunting thought, perhaps the greatest mystery is not what exists, but what has already been erased.